Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we are making an amazing spaghetti and meatballs, and we're doing it all out here on the grills. Check it out. Alright, first things first, let's talk about what you need. And you can do this on your stove in your house, you can do it out on your grill, you can do it on your side burner, heck, you can do it on a Blackstone. And today I might do it in all three ways, but we're going to show you how to do it in a nice cast iron skillet. This is what you ultimately want. I love these enamel coated ones because they're easy to clean and they still have all the benefit of cast iron. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and kick on our smoker right now. We're going to get that up to about 275 to 300 degrees. So we'll start that up first and then I'll be back to tell you the rest of the ingredients. Now anybody with an Italian grandma knows when you make sauce you want to do it homemade and you want it to simmer for hours and hours. We're going to show you a way to cheat that, get all the flavor of good meats, get a good flavor out of a jarred sauce, and have it ready in about 30 to 45 minutes. That's ultimately what we're doing here. By the way, my preference is to simmer this all day long with a good thing of canned tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, or fresh. But that's not in the agenda today. As a matter of fact, it's like the first cold day of winter here in southern Florida. I'm wearing long pants today and a sleeved shirt, which is very unusual. So it's probably, mid 60s right about now, maybe high 60s. But it was 44 this morning. All right, let's talk about the ingredients, and we're going to talk about this quick style we're doing. You want a mixture of beef and pork. Now I'm using 2 pounds, and my grocery store actually had a ground beef and pork mixture. If not, just buy a pound of each of these, or heck, you can even use ground pork that you have for like breakfast sausage. That's also got good flavor. Now, before we make these meatballs, we're going to brown them in the pan. I use a little bit of bacon fat. I found this little package of salt pork. That'll be perfect to chop up little bits and get a nice base of fat in that pan. We're going to have a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic, obviously some salt and pepper, and then you want whatever your style of tomato sauce is. In this case, we're using a Classico tomato and basil, and we'll probably need 2 jars of that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I like to get a scale just so I get all my meatballs at about the same size, and because we're doing this the quick way, we're going to make the meatballs, we're going to brown them in the pan, and then we're going to put them on a little sheet tray, and we're going to smoke them for about 25-30 minutes until they're cooked all the way through. Because we're ultimately not trying to cook them in the sauce. We're just heating them up. All right, we just kicked on our smoker and we are definitely rolling some smoke here. So let's get this turned up to about 275 to 300 degrees. And when that smoker first kicks on, there's a lot of smoke coming out of it. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and make up our meatballs. We're just gonna go ahead and pull this out. And I'm gonna save this tray because this is what I set the meatballs on when I get ready to cook them. It's convenient using that again. 2.5 ounces per is about the perfect size here. So just drop these on the scale and then weigh them out here. All we want to do is pack these nice and tight, because we don't want these to be smashed up or misshapen. The idea is to have a nice, good, solid meatball, and it needs to be able to handle a little bit of the mixing that you're going to do in this pan or in this bowl, and scooping it in and out of there with like a scoop or a spoon. All right, so with our meatballs all made up, I went ahead and prepped 1 small tray and put some parchment paper on it. We're gonna brown these. It gets this nice flavor in the bottom of the pan, and then we're gonna set them on top of this tray and we're gonna smoke them for a while until they cook all the way through. We'll do that while the sauce is heating up. We'll add the two together and have a marriage made in heaven. Right there. By the way, if you're ever cutting raw meat, one of the best things to do is put it in the freezer for about 15 or 20 minutes, just because as it gets nice and cold, it lets your knife go through it a lot easier without sticking to it. Unfortunately, I've had this sitting outside in the sun here for the last 10 minutes while I've been prepping. Again, we're just looking for little 1/4-inch cubes. They're going to render down a little bit too. So I'm mixing this up because obviously one side of this is fattier than the other. So I want to get a portion of this, let's say, I don't know, 1/3, maybe half of it, and then the other part is going to go onto the Blackstone. All right, let's just get some of this sprinkled right down here onto our Blackstone. And that pork fat is what we're looking for here. As that renders down, it's going to be perfect for browning our meatballs in. All right, getting nice and brown, that's what we want to see. We've got our pork belly going on both the Blackstone and in the pot. It's important in the pot because we want that fond, that sort of burned caramelized flavor of both the pork fat as well as the meatballs that we're going to brown in there. because that's where we're going to cook our sauce. I'm going to go ahead and get just a little bit of onion cut up, and the reason why, I'm not going to put much of this in the pan, but I use it to get the flavor down off of the bottom of the pan after we brown our meatballs. When this is done, it's almost going to look like a little bit of a paste, and that's exactly what we want after we're done sauteing them. See those amazing chopping skills? You know why you don't see them? I ain't a chef. I'm a backyard kind of guy that does it this good. Beauty is, what I've learned is the speed at which you chop does not typically affect the flavor of the food. And it's a good thing. Let's go ahead and start stirring up our pork fat that's on the pot and on the Blackstone. Just want to render this down. I'm trying to keep them in a relatively small area because this is the same area where I will brown the meatballs. And just like in the pot, you can see all that brown on there? That is what's going to help give us all this good flavor on the outside of those meatballs. All right, we've got ourselves a little pan. What we're going to use this for is we're now going to pull all of this pork fat out of the pots, and that's the spot where we're going to brown our meatballs. So let me zoom into the pot. I'll kind of show you how we pull those out of there. We're just going to set them aside. We're not even going to use these in the sauce. It's just there for all this good flavor and a snack. All right, so we can see here we've got some of that pork fat came right out of this. We're just going to scoop this out and put it just in a little pan and get it aside. Now we want to go ahead and start putting our meatballs right in here and just browning these guys. You're going to do this in a few different batches. Don't crowd it because we need to be able to turn each of these over. All right, just like in the pot, we're going to go ahead and pull these off, and we don't want to get all that nice grease off of there. We want to keep all that right in there. That's what we want to cook our meatballs in. Brown them up real nice right there. And the nice thing about the Blackstone is you can do a lot more on here than you can do in that pot, but you don't get all that wonderful fond from the pot over here. You want to do the same thing in this pan. That is all good flavor that's happening. You want them to get a little bit brown like that. That's perfect. They only need about a minute or so on each side. Now as they start to brown, we just want to roll them over a little bit, just like this. It's easier to show you on the Blackstone than in that pan. That is looking good. We're about ready to take these out in just a moment. All right, so now's the time. We're just going to go ahead and get these out of here. And I'm putting them right on this pan because we're going to smoke them for a little bit now that we have this wonderful fond in the pot that will help us start our sauce. With the meatballs now in the smoker, I'm going to go ahead and get a couple of sausages going. This is your call. If you want to get these, you can use the small sausages. I would definitely use the Italian sausages or onion and pepper sausages when you see them in your grocery store. I actually like these Garcia smoked sausages, and what I do is I'll cut them long ways in half and then in half again and put them down in the sauce. That way you can just pick them out, have them on the side of your plate, or frankly, make a delicious sausage, onions, and pepper sandwich. So, let's go ahead and start with two of these guys. I'm going to cut them apart. I'm going to slice them in half long ways. Slice them in half long ways this way. And then in half this way. That is the perfect size, in my opinion, for putting into a tomato sauce. We're now going to go ahead and put our onions right into this pan. We're also going to add in a half of a garlic. Just start stirring it. The idea is, as the liquid starts to come out of these onions, you're going to begin to get a lot of that fond off the bottom of the pan. You can already see it coming off of there. One, it's browning the onions, and if you put onions in your sauce, that is a phenomenal flavor. We're just going to saute these until they get about translucent. All right, we just got the last meatball off of here, and it's now time to put these into the smoker at about 275 to 300 degrees. That looks amazing right there. Let's go ahead and get this all scooped out of here. And again, I would leave this in if I were making it for just me, but The rest of my family's not a big fan of that, so this will be a separate little serving that I'll make for myself. And now we're just going to start adding in our jarred sauce, mixing that up real good. I want this to start getting warm. Again, we're just using a bottled jar of sauce. We're just going to add that right in here. Then we're going to season this up a little bit. A little bit of Italian seasoning. Ooh, parsley, thyme. And then we're going to go in with a bit of garlic and onion powder mixture. We'll let this go on very low temperature. What will end up happening is this will continue to mellow out the flavor, and then we'll cook it for about another 20 minutes or so with the cooked meatballs in it. And they are in right now. They'll take about 10 or 11 minutes. All right, we'll get these off and start getting them ready to go right into our sauce. All right, these sausages look amazing. I'm going to just give each one a little try here, and then we're going to drop these. That's primo. I'm going to put these into the sauce. The meatballs are just about done. We're at about 175 degrees inside. We want them to get to about 185. They would do that in the sauce as well. So we're going to go ahead and get the sausages in, and then we'll put the meatballs in just a minute. All right. Let's look at these guys right here. That is looking good. They are about ready to go right into our sauce. All right. Let's go ahead and go in with our sausages. And we're going to come right in with our meatballs as well. And get our last one. And now we're just going to gently mix this up. We want to be very careful. We don't want to break these up. We do want them buried down in that sauce. Let them just cook up real nice. You can make an argument that almost needs a little more sauce. That's all right. We'll add 2 if we need to. So now that we've put all the meatballs and the sausage in the sauce, I went ahead and took it off the side burner and I put it in the smoker side at 200 degrees with the lid on. We're just going to let it sort of steep in there for a little while. 200 degrees is going to keep it nice and warm, not quite boiling. You could go down to 175 and that would be perfectly fine as well. That will sit in there for quite some time. If you're not going to be ready to eat now, but you're ready in an hour or two, great, come back to it. Just check it every so often if you left the lid cracked so not too much of it evaporates out. But while that's heating up a little bit more, I think, I've got these onions that the family doesn't like. I do. I've got these wonderful meatballs and these amazing smoked sausages. Got a couple of buns. I think we're going to make ourselves a little sandwich while that's going before we bring it inside to everybody else. So, look at that. Got one of these meatballs opened up. Got a couple little slices of this sausage here. Toasting up some bread and heating up some onions. Let me show you what it looks like. So I've been enjoying sitting out here doing these cooking videos, all while having these amazing lattes and cappuccinos. I went ahead and got a cappuccino machine for Christmas, and I did an unboxing of it, and I'm actually just working on perfecting it. So I'll be sending up these videos here pretty quick. You'll see just how to do some of these drinks, but they are really amazing. Ah, man, that's good. Okay, so I've got 2 sandwiches I'm going to try. The first one is a meatball sandwich, and you can see just onions and garlic sauteed in the pan there. It's what had all that flavor from the meatballs in the browning pan. Got 1 meatball in there, some sauce, and a nice little toasted roll. So with that, let's give this one a shot. Oh, man. The meatballs are perfect. Look at that. Just cooked just right. It's like medium in there, maybe medium well. Absolutely delicious, juicy, tons of onion and garlic flavor, along with the sweetness of the tomato sauce. This is a good little sandwich right here. I'm going to be going inside and feeding the family. I'm going to be full. This is going to be a heck of a bite, I think. This might be hard to do. Man, that sweet Italian sausage with onions and peppers and garlic. Man, that sweet Italian sausage with the onions and the garlic, that is absolutely delicious. Messy as can be, but man, is that good. All right, folks, with that, it's time to give this a shot. Now, I'm just going to reach in here and just grab some of the tomato sauce alone without any of the meat in it. It's really good. It's got a bit of depth of flavor, which is shocking because it's been 40 minutes, 45 minutes since we started this whole thing, but really makes a difference. the combination of pork and beef together makes a huge difference. Huge difference. That's a piece of sausage and some sauce. That Italian sausage is sweet. It's deliciously sweet. And then you get the acidity of the tomato sauce. Man, this is a good one. And you know, you can do it outside. Nice thing about cooking outside is, you know, good excuse to have a beer or a cup of coffee or whatever suits your fancy. Eat a sandwich while you're making the meal for the rest of the family. That's it, folks. Safe and happy grilling. I hope you give this one a try. It's a fun one to do outside. Like I said, if it were 10 degrees warmer, I feel like I would be cooking this up and I'd be drinking a beer in the other hand. It'd be phenomenal. But because it's a little chillier, I got a hot cup of coffee and this is warming me up. So thanks, y'all. Bye now. Safe and happy grilling. Oh, good. You're still here. Hey, do me a favor. If you want to see our entire playlist of cooking out on the PitBoss Pro Smoker, check out right here. If you want to see all the Blackstone ones, check out right here. Thanks, y'all.